Where do humans come from? Exploring Buddhist views on human origins. For centuries, humanity has pondered profound questions about existence. Where do we come from? What is our purpose? Religions, philosophies, and scientific theories have offered varied answers to these questions, each reflecting their unique frameworks. In Buddhism, however, the approach to understanding human origins differs significantly. The Buddha did not focus on speculative theories about beginnings. Instead, he emphasized a practical, experiential wisdom aimed at alleviating suffering and achieving liberation. Central to Buddhist thought is the idea that origins, whether of the universe or human life, cannot be fully understood through speculation alone. In the Aggañña Sutta, the Buddha explicitly avoided metaphysical debates about the universe's beginning or end. He likened such discussions to a man struck by a poisoned arrow who refuses treatment until every detail about the arrow is known. The Buddha's teaching prioritizes direct, transformative understanding over intellectual curiosity. This perspective shapes how Buddhism addresses human origins. Rather than focusing on a linear starting point, Buddhism introduces a cyclical view of time and existence. The universe, and all within it, arises and dissolves in an endless pattern of creation, sustenance, and destruction. This cyclical perspective reflects not only the universe's nature, but also the process of rebirth, where consciousness takes on new forms, shaped by karma. Thus, understanding human origins in Buddhism requires exploring profound concepts such as cyclical time, the interplay between consciousness and physical form, and the vastness of cosmic processes. These ideas offer insights far beyond a historical or biological narrative, linking human existence to the infinite cycles of the cosmos. Chapter 1: The Universe. According to Buddhism. Beginningless time. In Buddhist cosmology, time is portrayed as beginningless and infinite. The Aggañña Sutta introduces the concept of boundless cycles of rebirth, emphasizing that no discernible starting point can be found. The Buddha taught, this cycle of rebirth has no discernible beginning. A first point is not known. This view contrasts sharply with linear notions of time found in many other traditions. The Buddha described these cycles using the metaphor of kalpas, unimaginably vast time periods. To illustrate, he said, imagine a mountain of solid rock, 1 yojana high and wide. If someone were to brush it with a fine silk cloth once every 100 years, the time it would take to wear the mountain down would still be shorter than a kalpa. This imagery conveys the profound vastness of time, urging practitioners to see beyond short-term concerns and recognize the impermanence inherent in existence. Cycles of universal evolution. Buddhism also offers a detailed account of cosmic processes. The Aggañña Sutta describes a universe that undergoes endless cycles of expansion and contraction. During periods of contraction, the physical world dissolves, and beings are reborn in subtler realms like the Abhisara Brahma world, where they exist as self-luminous, mind-made beings. Eventually, the universe begins to expand again, and the physical world re-emerges. The Buddha explained, there comes a time when the world contracts. At that time, beings are mostly reborn in the Abhisara Brahma world. There comes a time when the world expands, and beings from the Abhisara world appear in this one. This cyclical pattern highlights the interconnectedness of all phenomena, from the formation of galaxies to the birth of sentient beings. The forces driving these cycles are elemental rather than theistic. Buddhism attributes the universe's formation to the interaction of natural elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space, governed by karma. As these elements stabilize, the physical world takes shape, providing a realm for beings to experience the fruits of their past actions. The vastness of multiple world systems. In addition to its cyclical nature, the Buddhist universe is unimaginably vast. The Buddha described countless world systems, each with its own cycles of birth and dissolution. Modern cosmology's understanding of galaxies and multiverses mirrors this ancient teaching, though Buddhism emphasizes their impermanence and interconnectedness. The Aggañña Sutta outlines this multiverse concept, describing world systems beyond world systems, extending endlessly in all directions. Each of these systems is subject to the same impermanence, arising and ceasing through karmic causes. This perspective challenges the idea of a singular, unique creation and underscores the infinite complexity of existence. In this vast, cyclical universe, human life is not random, but deeply interconnected with the cosmos. The Buddhist understanding of origins thus provides not only a cosmological framework, but also a profound ethical lesson. Our actions ripple through these cycles, shaping both our lives and the broader universe. Chapter 2: The Evolution of Human Form. The first physical beings. In the Aggañña Sutta, the Buddha provides a striking account of how beings first came to exist in the physical world. At the beginning of this evolutionary process, beings were described as radiant, mind-made, and self-luminous. They sustained themselves on joy, pali, piti, rather than physical food. During this time, the physical environment was vastly different from what we know today. The Buddha said, "At that period, there was just one mass of water, and all was darkness. The beings were made of mind, fed on joy, self-luminous. These self-luminous beings were free from the physical limitations and suffering that characterize human existence today. They moved effortlessly through the vast, primordial landscape, untouched by the coarseness of matter. However, as time passed, changes in their environment and actions led to a gradual transformation, both in their forms and in their modes of sustenance." Physical transformation. The transition from mind-made beings to physical forms began with the appearance of an edible substance called earthly essence. The Buddha described it as a rich, fragrant layer that formed on the surface of the water. Drawn by curiosity and craving, the luminous beings began to taste this essence. Over time, their dependence on this physical food caused their radiant bodies to lose their light. With this loss of luminosity, distinctions between beings became apparent. The Buddha remarked, "Some beings began to notice differences in their forms, and conceit arose in their minds. As their physical form solidified, features like hands, feet, and faces developed, marking the beginning of bodily diversity. Gender distinctions also emerged during this transformation. Initially, beings were androgynous, but as their physical forms evolved, male and female characteristics became pronounced. This change marked the beginning of sexual reproduction, which the Buddha attributed to karmic causes. With these transformations, beings became increasingly rooted in the physical world, and the potential for suffering grew. Environmental changes. The physical world also underwent significant changes during this period. As the earthly essence diminished, new forms of vegetation appeared, including edible creepers and eventually grain. The beings adapted their diet, but this shift led to further coarsening of their forms and minds. The Buddha noted how greed and attachment arose as beings began to hoard resources, disrupting the harmony of their existence. As the Earth's surface solidified, the environment became more hospitable for physical forms. However, with these changes came challenges. The natural abundance that once provided for all beings began to diminish, compelling them to work and organize resources to survive. This marked the beginning of humanity's deep relationship with the environment, characterized by both dependence and exploitation. The evolution of human form in Buddhism is not merely a biological process, but a karmic and ethical one. The transformations were driven by choices, desires, and actions that reflect the broader principle of dependent origination, paticca samuppada. This teaching reminds us that every action creates conditions for future experiences, shaping both individual lives and the collective reality. Chapter 3: The Development of Human Society. Early human communities. As human forms became more distinct and the environment changed, beings began to gather in groups for mutual benefit. This marked the start of early human communities. The Buddha described how beings who once existed in isolation began to organize themselves to share resources, protect one another, and develop basic social structures. Language emerged as a natural consequence of living in groups. Initially, communication was intuitive and non-verbal, but over time, beings developed specific sounds and symbols to express ideas. The Buddha noted, "Then those beings began to eat solid food, and their bodies became coarser. This coarsening extended to their minds as well, as ignorance, avidya, and craving, tanha, introduced conflicts into their interactions. With the loss of natural abundance, beings had to work collaboratively to cultivate food and manage resources. This cooperation laid the groundwork for organized society, including the division of labor and the emergence of roles within communities. The rise of social structures. As resources became limited, the concept of personal ownership arose. Beings began to claim portions of land, food, and other resources as their own. This led to disputes, prompting the need for governance and rules. The Aggañña Sutta describes how beings collectively chose a leader, referred to as the Mahasammata, the Great Elect, to maintain order and resolve conflicts. This marked the beginning of governance and the rule of law. The Buddha explained how these developments were not inherently virtuous or corrupt, but arose naturally from the changing conditions of existence. Over time, social roles such as farmers, artisans, and merchants emerged to address the needs of growing communities. The division of labor allowed societies to flourish, but also introduced hierarchies and inequality. Moral evolution. The Buddha emphasized that alongside material and social evolution, there was a parallel development of morality and spiritual seeking. As beings experienced the consequences of greed, anger, and delusion, they began to recognize the importance of ethical behavior. Stories of spiritual teachers and seekers appear in the Buddhist texts as examples of this moral awakening. The emergence of teachings on generosity, dana, compassion, karuna, and mindfulness, sati, reflect humanity's effort to counterbalance the challenges of material existence. The Buddha taught that this moral evolution is essential for progress toward liberation. He also warned against becoming overly attached to social structures or material advancements. True progress, he explained, lies in cultivating wisdom, Aggañña, and practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, which leads beyond the cycles of rebirth to ultimate freedom. The development of human society in Buddhism is thus a reflection of both karmic causes and ethical choices. It shows how human beings, through collaboration and conflict, create the conditions for both suffering and liberation. Chapter 4: Scientific Parallels in Buddhist Cosmology. Universal Cycles. Buddhist cosmology describes the universe as undergoing endless cycles of expansion and contraction, a process that mirrors modern scientific theories such as the Big Bang and Big Crunch. In the Aggañña Sutta, the Buddha spoke of cosmic cycles where worlds arise, evolve, and dissolve. He explained, "There comes a time when the world contracts. There comes a time when the world expands." This cyclical understanding differs from a linear creation story. The Buddha emphasized that no ultimate beginning or end exists, only an ongoing process of arising and ceasing, governed by karma and natural laws. The Anguttara Nikaya also refers to these cycles, describing them as a continuous process that unfolds over incomprehensible timescales. Modern astrophysics proposes that the universe began with a singularity, expanded through the Big Bang, and may eventually collapse or continue expanding indefinitely. While these theories are grounded in empirical observation, their similarities to Buddhist cosmology highlight how both traditions explore the universe's impermanent and interconnected nature. In Buddhism, the vastness of time and space is not meant to inspire awe, but to deepen understanding. Recognizing that existence operates in cycles encourages detachment from the illusion of permanence and emphasizes the importance of ethical actions in shaping one's experiences within these cycles. Buddhist description of multiple world systems. Buddhism's vision of the cosmos includes countless world systems, lokadatas, each undergoing its own cycles of creation and dissolution. In the Brahmajala Sutta, the Buddha spoke of innumerable universes beyond our own, each with its realms of existence. These realms include celestial heavens, human worlds, and lower states, all interconnected through the law of dependent origination, Paticca Samuppada. This ancient description resonates with the modern concept of multiverses in theoretical physics, which posits that multiple universes may coexist, each with distinct properties. While Buddhism does not focus on validating these ideas scientifically, its teachings emphasize the impermanence and interdependence of all phenomena, regardless of their scale. Evolutionary process. The gradual development of life is another area where Buddhist cosmology aligns with modern evolutionary science. In the Aggañña Sutta, the Buddha described beings initially as mind-made and luminous, gradually adapting to environmental changes and developing physical forms. This progression mirrors evolutionary biology's account of how life forms evolve in response to changing conditions. Buddhism, however, adds a deeper layer to this process by connecting physical evolution with consciousness. The Buddha taught that consciousness, vijnana, plays a central role in shaping life forms. Karma, the intentional actions of beings, affects not only their individual destinies, but also the broader conditions of their environment. This interplay between mind and matter underscores the Buddhist view that existence is a dynamic, interconnected process. The Anguttara Nikaya highlights this gradual transformation, noting that beings change in response to karmic forces and environmental factors. The Buddha's emphasis on gradual change reflects his broader teaching on impermanence, anicca, and the importance of understanding how small actions accumulate over time to produce significant effects. Consciousness and physical evolution. Consciousness is not seen merely as a byproduct of physical processes, but as an active force in shaping existence. The Buddha taught that consciousness conditions physical form and vice versa. In the Paticca he explained how mind and body, namarupa, arise interdependently, with each influencing the other through cycles of rebirth. This understanding aligns with Buddhist ethics. The actions of beings driven by intention, satana, influence not only their current state, but also the broader fabric of existence. Recognizing this connection can inspire individuals to act mindfully, cultivating habits that contribute to well-being for themselves and others. Chapter 5. Human Existence in Buddhist Context. The unique position of humans. In Buddhism, human existence is seen as both rare and precious. The Aggañña Sutta uses a vivid metaphor to describe this rarity. Imagine a blind turtle swimming in a vast ocean. Once every 100 years, the turtle surfaces, and the chance of it placing its head through a floating yoke is comparable to the likelihood of being born as a human. This rarity makes human life uniquely significant. Unlike beings in higher realms, who are often distracted by pleasures, or those in lower realms, who are overwhelmed by suffering, humans have the ideal balance of circumstances for spiritual growth. The Buddha emphasized this point. Hard is it to be born a human. Hard is it to live a life of virtue. With human birth comes the opportunity to understand the Dhamma, practice the Noble Eightfold Path, and work toward liberation. This perspective frames human life not as an endpoint, but as a crucial phase in the broader cycle of existence, offering a chance to break free from samsara. Purpose of understanding origins. The Buddha did not delve into speculative questions about the universe or humanity's beginnings for their own sake. Instead, he taught that understanding origins should serve a practical purpose, reducing suffering and fostering spiritual progress. In the Aggañña Sutta, he explained that focusing on irrelevant questions distracts from the goal of liberation. Understanding human origins in the Buddhist context reminds us of the impermanence and interdependence of all things. This awareness can help practitioners let go of attachment, develop compassion, and live ethically. By seeing how actions ripple across time and space, individuals can align their lives with principles that lead to peace and wisdom. The relationship between origin and destiny. For Buddhists, the origin of human life is inseparable from its ultimate purpose. Human existence is conditioned by past actions, but also holds the potential to shape future outcomes. The Buddha taught that while beings are bound by the laws of karma, they also have the power to transform their destinies through mindful action and ethical living. This teaching is encapsulated in the Dhammapada, where the Buddha states, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought. If a man speaks or acts with an impure mind, suffering follows him. If a man speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows him." Recognizing this connection between origin and destiny empowers individuals to take responsibility for their actions. It also provides a broader perspective on life's challenges, viewing them not as random events, but as opportunities for growth and understanding. Practical application in daily life. Buddhism's teachings on human origins are not merely theoretical. They offer valuable insights for everyday living. By understanding the interconnectedness of all phenomena, individuals can cultivate mindfulness and compassion, recognizing how their actions affect others. This awareness can also inspire gratitude for the opportunity of human life. Instead of taking existence for granted, one can use it as a platform for developing wisdom, practicing generosity, and pursuing liberation. The Buddha's teachings remind us that while life is impermanent, its fleeting nature makes it all the more meaningful.